Well, it's about time I decided to get around to this. It's been probably about 2 months since I actually did the top 5 favorite Undertale bosses, and I think it's about time we start doing the next episode to this. Top 5 favorite Undertale characters. Now, in this list, we are going to be looking at what I think are the best Undertale characters. Now, this is entirely my opinion, so you may have a different opinion on things, guaranteed. I know a lot of you had different opinions about it in the last video, and I'm glad you showed me your opinions because it actually made my opinions change myself. And it was very interesting to see what y'all had to say. Today we are going to be looking at top 5 favorite Undertale characters. Now the rules are simple. This is entirely character based. The boss fights have no impact on their character whatsoever unless there is a character change in the boss fight. You'll see what I mean coming up. And, spoiler alert once again, I will be spoiling major plots in Undertale like I did in the last list, so you have been warned. But without further ado, let's get started. Number 5 belongs to Mettaton. Mettaton is without a doubt one of the most unique characters in the game. It's a splendid idea when you come down to the thought of it. Having a robot TV host who is constantly trying to torment you the way through Hotland, and then find out at the very end that he's not programmed to hurt you, it was just a, act. But hey, Mettaton still shows very high performance in the art of character development. I can tell that Toby Fox was going all out with Mettaton. He's a robot that desperately wants to go to the surface, and he will do any means necessary to get there, even if it means leaving his creator Alphas behind. But he is destined to go up to the surface in order to become a star himself. But in order to do that, he needs a human soul, and I guess you can know what comes next with you entering Hotland. The only flaw I have with Mettaton is that he didn't have that much time to represent his personality. Most of his personality comes out when you realize that the house next to Napstablook's house is actually old ghostly Mettaton's house. And that Napstablook was his cousin. But other than that, that's the only real true striking character development that Mettaton had. The other is just shown throughout your adventures in Hotland, and I think it could have been explained a little more with Mettaton. Plus, we never really knew if Mettaton really still has a soul or not. It really isn't shown, it just shows that he's a robot. I kinda wanna know more. Number 4 is a character I think we can all understand why I would be on this list. Do I even need to put an intro for her? It's Toriel. Anyone who's played Undertale remembers good old Gulp Mama. Toriel has been there for you from the very beginning and turns out to be with you till the very end without you really knowing. She saves you from Flowey, who attempts to kill you at the very beginning of the game and tries to mother you like you were her own child. It's later in the game that you realize that she has lost 2 children, one being her own flesh and blood son, Asriel, and the other being a human that has fallen to the earth named Kara. You can see why she is so torn up and trying to keep you is that she wants to finally have a son that she can love and not have the same feeling of losing you like she did her other children. And I love that for her. You later find out that she was the queen of the underground along with Asgore Dreamer, but she left because her children died. It's truly saddening what happened, but we still love her because she made that delicious butterscotch cinnamon pie. Number 3 is gonna be Papyrus. Why Papyrus, you say? Well, just listen to his dialogue and you'd understand. He is a wacky skeleton that doesn't really understand what's going on in the entire Undertale universe. He thinks he understands, but he really doesn't. He tries his hardest to do his best to become a royal guardsman, even though he strays very far from it. Undyne, even the leader of the royal guardsmen, says that he's strong enough to join the royal guard, but he just doesn't have the heart for it. And when in the battle with Papyrus, you start seeing that true nature of Papyrus, the one who can't hurt a fly, the one that desperately tries to make himself known to the underground, yet he can't. Tagged along with his brother Sans, they become the best dialogue in the entire game. Papyrus is definitely the comedic humor of this game, and I enjoy it so much to where I would definitely pay a game just to talk to Papyrus. I really would. I would have no regrets. Number 2 is Undyne. Ready for the symbolic representation of a true warrior? Yep, here it is. Undyne the Undying is what I consider to be a perseverer. A person who doesn't just quit at anything, and you can see why. During your entire time in the waterfall, she is persistent at trying to capture you. But there are some roads ahead that she just can't seem to capture you. At the end, you save her life, and she just kind of gives up and just goes on ahead. But what definitely makes her stand out the most is when you visit her at her house. At her house, you have a chance to bond with Undyne the Undying, and boy is it the best thing that's ever happened in this game. You thought that hanging out with Papyrus was good. This is great. You eventually start having a huge trash party, I guess you could say, where you're making a whole bunch of ingredients and making spaghetti and just trashing a house to eventually you burn her house down and she's still okay with it. How do you not go back from that? Like, how do you not accept them as a friend if you burn their house down and they still respect you as a friend? How do you do that? Let's skip the dramatic effect. Let's just know that it's the same character as every other list and just go on ahead. Number 1, Sans, everybody. Did we have a doubt? Sans is probably the most developed character throughout Undertale. I don't think I've seen a more developed character other than Sans. His character is so complex that it just makes me like him so much. Let's run it down. Sans is a joke-loving skeleton that just wants to be friends with you. He doesn't want to hurt you. He's just kind of just chill with everything. He doesn't want to do anything, really. He's what you call a nihilist, which is a person that doesn't care about life and just kind of drifts with the flow of it. Doesn't care what happens. He couldn't care if Hillary or Donald Trump became president. He just kind of rolls with it. But underneath that cold, dark shell of a skeleton, there's one thing he cares about in the world, and that's his brother Papyrus. He would do anything for his brother Papyrus, and it's quite understandable. His brother Papyrus is apparently all he has, and Papyrus being the goof that he is, Sans has a lot of work ahead of him to protect him. And we can respect that a lot. But really makes him shine is in the genocide route when you actually fight Sans. He shows more of his complexity in that fight than anything else. And this is where the rule I said before comes into effect, that they're not based on their boss fights. While I'm not putting his boss fight into the actual listing, I am putting character traits that he shows in the boss fight in this list. And one of those character traits just happened with his dialogue, and it's really too confusing to say here. But if you have the time, just look at some dialogue that Sans says, and you'll start understand how complex he really is. Thank you so much for watching. If we can get the same feedback as we did from the other video, that video is now at 3,000 views and around 55 likes. I greatly appreciate the support you had for the top 5 listings. And please guys, let's see if we can get the same result and probably more for this video. And I will do another video coming up next. And I cue the intro screen.